We have chosen the company Nestle. Good food is good life. Also with me is Casey Lynn, Hayden, and Sam. And we're going to talk about Nestle and some options they can choose to improve their business. So I'm going to talk about the vision of Nestle is tastier and healthier product choices. Their main focus is to get the best quality food that's healthy and the best product to their end consumer. Their mission statement is good food is good life. Some facts about them: they have over 2,000 brands worldwide of product, and then they have in 189 different countries. That's 436 factories across the globe, and they make 88.8 billion Swiss francs. That's equal to 88.63 billion US dollars of revenue per year. The company divisions are Europe, Americas, and Asia. The division assignments that we broke it into, even though those are the company divisions, they also go by products in those divisions. So Hayden did milk and ice cream, Sam did health sciences, I did frozen foods, and Casey Lynn did powdered liquid and beverages. To get to our toes, we had to do a SWOT analysis. And everybody knows strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. Strengths, so the biggest strength that Nestle has is their R&D section. They have 37 facilities worldwide of up to the state-of-the-art research and development facilities to find new products that are healthy. Another one is the product mix. They have, they're just not in the frozen food. They're in candy. They're in beverages, health. They have these different product mixes that go well with their company. And then their geographical presence is another strength. They're all over the world. Like we said, they were in 189 countries. Some of the opportunities they have, the younger generation, they're more health conscious. So they are looking to reach out to the younger generation. Co-branding, they co-brand with Coke. If you go to a Coke machine, you'll probably see Nestle. You also see some Pure Life is another brand that is usually co-branded. And then their reputation. They have an opportunity to build their reputation among the communities. Their weaknesses is marketing. You see Nestle advertising out there once in a great while, but it's not very prominent. Compliance and regulations is another one that is another weakness. They've had a lot of litigation over child labor and different aspects around the globe when it comes to litigation. Supply in developing countries. They have their product in bigger countries, but in the developing countries, they don't have a big presence, and that's where a weakness is. They need to get out there and get those supply to the developing countries. Some threats is the environment. We know that the environment is not an everlasting or never-ending resource. So that's a threat that some of those resources are going away, and they have to come up with different ways to do that to make it sustainable. Health trends. The older generation, they weren't too big on health. Now they are, especially with the younger generation that's coming up. They're going to be more conscientious of the health trends that's going on. Specialty products. There's a lot of people out there with specialty products, so that's another threat. Aging customer base. Their customer base is an older generation, so they need to reach and recycle, basically going down to the younger generations. So with those, the SWOT analysis, we have a TOES analysis. Strengths and threats. They can use their R&D facilities to help make an impact with the environment. They can also use a product mix to enter a specialty product market, such as the health nutrition market. There's a lot of opportunity and growth in there. Strength and opportunities. The R&D needs to appeal to the younger generation. They also need to invest in health sciences because that younger generation is more health conscientious. The next one is weakness and threats. Build a strong compliance department to avoid potential problems. They need to build that strong compliance so that they don't have as many litigations or eliminate them altogether. Supplying developing countries to improve the standard of living in those countries, and health and the weakness and opportunity is health, science, and health to reduce regulations. There's a lot of regulations out there that is that's hurting them. Case Lane will now go over the VRIO.
So from our TOEs and our SWOT analysis, we decided as a group that the greatest opportunity Nestle has is with the younger generation. So all of our strategic alternatives are aimed at the ultimate goal of building a strong reputation and brand loyalty with the younger generation. So our first strategic alternative, to go green, kind of came from the idea that the younger generation is definitely praising companies who are more environmentally friendly and that sort of thing. And so this would be valuable for Nestle to implement because they would be able to build an attributable reputation with the younger generation. And they would also be able to help mitigate potential environmental threats that the company will be facing in the future and are facing currently. This would be rare because a lot of companies only focus on the bottom line and implement shareholder primacy in a way that only affects their shareholders monetarily and not environmentally. This is costly for companies to imitate because it takes a lot of time, effort, and resources in order for a company to find out how to strategically put this into their company and make it be effective. As far as Nestle's organizational structure, they just have a simple matrix structure. It's not anything super innovative, but it's something that's definitely not holding them back from obtaining a sustainable competitive advantage. Our second alternative is to keep up with food trends, such as going organic. This would be valuable for the company because they would be able to quickly gain the attention of the younger generation. But unfortunately, it's not that rare to come by. There's organic companies that are all over. And as far as keeping up with food trends, it's always changing. And so they'd constantly be having to re-innovate and come up with new ideas. So unfortunately, this strategic alternative will only get Nestle competitive parity. Our last strategic alternative, expanding nutritional supplements, is the idea of creating like powdered beverages, powdered bars, nutritional supplements, that sort of thing. Anything that will give the normal person more of a balanced diet, get in nutrients that they're lacking, that sort of thing. This would be valuable to Nestle because it's a $32 billion industry and they would be tapping into that market share. It was also valuable to them because they would be able to quickly, keeping up with food trends, they would be able to quickly gain the attention of the younger generation. This is rare to come by because, as Nate talked about, the research and development, development facility that Nestle has is unlike any other. None of their competition puts as much money as they can, as much as Nestle does into their research and development. Kind of going hand in hand with rare, it's costly to imitate because they've put so much money into their research and development that not a lot of companies can compare to that. As far as being organized, I talked about that. Their matrix structure, again, is not holding them back from obtaining a sustainable competitive advantage. So we decided to not choose the Go Green alternative because of two reasons. The first reason being that they've already implemented kind of green reputations as far as lowering their CO2 emissions, creating zero waste facilities, and finding other ways to create energy for their production plants and whatnot. And they haven't received any good feedback from that. So it doesn't seem as though that's a quick way to build up their reputation with the younger generation. Along with that, Nestle also is really focused on getting into third world countries and feeding those who are hungry and who don't have food and are extremely malnourished. And so that's something Nestle is really passionate about right now. And so as far as going green, that would take a lot of time and effort that they don't really want to put into it when they're really focused on getting into third world countries. So ultimately, we decided to expand nutritional supplements. This was our low-cost, kind of low-focus approach because they'll be able to quickly implement it for low cost and they'll be able to do it with low attention. And so now Hayden will talk about how to implement
So as far as implementation goes, the first issue that needs to be addressed is organization and financing. This graph represents the organizational structure that Nestle has in place right now, starting with their CEO and CTO and CFO of the overall company, and then it breaks it down into the health sciences, which is where our recommended product lies. This is where it's going to fit into their organizational structure. So you have the CEO of health sciences, the executive of the Americas, and the executive of operations. And then you have the head of Nestle Institute of Health Sciences, head of Nestle Research Center. And that's kind of the part of Nestle, the division that's already covering their nutritional supplements, their meal replacements, and their supplements for seniors. They're all being developed in this part of the company already. So our product is going to fit right under there. And that's what's so nice about our recommendation is they can already leave the structure they have in place and the management they have in place. They're not going to have to learn how to do very many new things, and there won't be much implementation because everything is already there. Then on the other side, you have the executive VP responsible for strategic business, and all the ones in blue are the ones that will be involved in this new implementation. So, and then as far as financing goes, last year Nestle had 9 million Swiss franc in free cash flow. So as a group, we decided that the best way to finance this project would be self-funding instead of going outside looking for new stock or loans, just financing this themselves. And then manufacturing would be the next item to address. You have, first of all, your R&D. Nestle has R&D facilities, state-of-the-art facilities across the country, as well as in other countries. These R&D facilities are staffed with experienced scientists that are already developing healthy supplements and have experience in that, as well as their current suppliers. Nestle is a company that is buying raw materials by the truckload. These raw materials can be used in the supplements that we are recommending, the ones that they are already purchasing. So that is a big advantage for Nestle, the relationship that they already have with their suppliers. So two really big cost-saving advantages are going to be the learning curve. So Nestle isn't going to have to do a ton of training. They're not going to have a lot of overhead as far as implementing this recommendation. They are very experienced in packaging foods as well as bottling liquids, so they can take this experience and streamline it for the new product. And they also have economies of scale. As I mentioned, they're already purchasing huge in bulk raw materials, and they are getting heavy discounts. So really their cost is going to be minimal, and it's really going to drive that they are going to be able to put an affordable but quality product on the market. And then distribution. We think that it would be very valuable to Nestle to exploit the relationships that they already have with their current distributors. Their brands are already in the largest big box retailers that are in the industry. You have Walmart, you have Target, and you have Costco. All of these huge retailers have health supplement sections and are selling them successfully. So, and they're also already carrying Nestle products. So we can use these relationships to leverage and get these products into these huge retailers and get them in front of our customer base and introduce this new product to them. And then the new retailers that we really wanted to go after were GNC, who has always been a huge player in the health supplement industry. And when you really think of where am I going to go to buy my health supplement, GNC almost comes to mind. So we just feel like once we have success in places like Walmart, places like Target, it'll be easy to get them into GNC because they're so successful and they're affordable. So the next place, they're both e-commerce. You got bodybuilding.com and you got Amazon.com, both huge. Amazon.com is the online version of GNC. You think, I want fast shipping, I want a supplement quick, and you think bodybuilding.com. We also had the idea of going with large gym franchises. No other supplement company does this and sells in a gym such as Gold's Gym across the nation. Getting the product into them and having them retail it for us was another option that we were looking to that we think would be very valuable for Nestle. So the next part is marketing, and I'm going to turn the time to Sam to cover this.
So as Nestle moves forward with these nutritional supplements that are going to be addressed or directed towards sports enthusiasts and bodybuilders and people who just want to live a healthier lifestyle, who don't already have chronic conditions, we want to leverage the social media campaign that they're already implementing for their Nescafe and Nespresso. This is a campaign that is specifically to that hip generation of younger individuals and people who are into that culture. And we want to leverage the same kind of thing with our product line of Nest Life. So we want to be Nest Life to have this image, brand image, as who is a bodybuilder or what a bodybuilder would want to use, or an extreme athlete, right? So we want to sponsor some athletes within different sporting categories, and we want to be able to have a presence at these different events. Now, when we identified where we want to start our distribution strategy, we're going to begin in the Intermountain West, and then we're going to follow with our Northeast area, and then go through Central United States. Now, the states who are the darkest in blue are, in level of darkest to lightest of blue, are those who have the highest or the best cost of living, highest incomes, and there's a direct correlation between not only education and financial affluency, but also health consciousness. So it only makes sense to leverage the distribution routes of our suppliers or our distributors such as Walmart and Target and Costco, and to begin in those areas where people are going to be more apt to have the money to pay for this, but then also the concern or the desire to want to consume it. So as a project timeline, the first couple months is going to be a lot of this organizing our company to be able to support this initiative. And within those first few months, we got to come up with an assessment of how much demand our company's going to want, but then we're also going to need to figure out the packaging. Now, we did decide that the best way for the protein is going to be coming in the bags of protein, since it's cheaper than to do the buckets. And then when it comes to formula, there's a decision of you could either buy patented formulas with protein powders or supplements, but we scratched that out because Nestle already has the resources to do their own R&D, and it's not going to cost them a whole lot to be able to develop their own formulas. But we do want to have that finalized within those first few months and to commence the distribution negotiations with our current distributors so they'll start taking on more product to take up the shelf space where the other supplements are going to be in the store. But then also with our new distributors such as Amazon and GNC, we need to create that relationship with them and identify those key areas of the United States to implement this pilot program. We would like production to commence by the 6th month of the product so that we can get that marketing and distribution going on within the 7th and 8th months. And when it comes down to it, we want to commence with like we already mentioned, with our current distributors first, and then go to our new distributors. As we approach the final months of the year, from 11th month and on, we want to be getting that customer feedback. Nestle already has a a customer feedback mechanism online, but we also want to have an in-store at your GNCs and vitamin shops so that we can get feedback on the product. Now, some of the feedback that we do want to be assessing, because ultimately we want to apply one of Deming's continuous process improvement framework to plan, do, check, act, and continuously build upon where we're at and where we want to go. And some of the key things we want to start with is figuring out, from our original assessments of demand versus actual sales, how that's going in correlation to the product attributes and what the customers are telling us they like about it in terms of flavoring, in terms of protein powders, the powders versus capsules of these branched chain amino acids and creatines and proteins, and the list goes on with what kind of health and sports supplements are out there. So we want to get that feedback, and we definitely want to start to test the waters of what is our consumer perception. Because Nestle right now is considered to be a food company, and they've transitioned it into this health and wellness, but it's only been a few years that they've really hit this one hard. And as we branch into this chain, we got to figure out, are we really accomplishing these consumer perceptions of being the health and wellness company that we aspire to become? So this definitely goes in line with our overall growth strategy that Nestle has. With the top two things being the nutrition and health and wellness, and then emerging markets and popularity of products. These are considered to be the growth drivers that Nestle already wants, and they're starting to leverage that. But it's only been about 5 years that they've really dived into these nutrition therapies. But everything that they currently have and that they're working in is only for people who already have these chronic conditions. And where we're going is the people who are healthy and they're aspiring to become healthier or have some kind of physical performance increase, right? And so this still goes within the growth drivers. And as Hayden already mentioned, we already have the resources and capabilities of economies of scale. The learning curves are going to be much shorter for us. And overall, this is going to get us to our overall objective to be a leader in nutrition and health supplements. Nestle has proclaimed that good life comes from good food, and we're going to continue this direction through choosing health supplements for those sports and extreme sports enthusiasts.